Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? Is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive, Las Vegas edition. Today I have a very special guest. I have the one, the only, the oh-so-famous Mr. Albert Thompson in the house. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you so much. I'm good. You know, isn't this beautiful?
It's beautiful.
This is amazing. I mean,
we got the top down. We're going to drive up and down Vegas. We're going to talk about some cool stuff.
We are.
But hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, I always like to start off our podcast with a little origin story because I'm always super fascinated how people got started in the business.
Yes.
So what is Albert's origin story of how he got started in this crazy world we call the automotive industry?
All right. So you're going to actually like this story, Jason. All right, because listen, here's the deal. So literally started my first company when I was 15 years old. 15 years old. Knew nothing about auto, nothing, just, you know, this kid out there who said he can sell anything. And that's what I did, right? I grew up in small town Minerva, Ohio. It's about an hour south of Cleveland. But listen, man, I'm 15 years old. I'm hustling. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And so I put an article out in my local paper that says, I can sell anything to anybody. I promise. Call me. All right. I ran that paper with the $20 that I had in my pocket. Okay, and it ran, and my phone started to ring. And back then we didn't have cell phones, right? So I'm taking these calls. Long story short, man, I start selling Disney collectibles, and I'm using like a Polaroid camera, and people are calling me about patio sets, right? Well, anyways, I get to the point where I'm starting to make some money at 15 years old.
There you go, man.
To the point where I can actually go buy a new car. And I wanted to buy this Honda Prelude when they came out, right?
Yes.
So I convinced my parents, hey, man, take me to the dealership, and I want to go check this Prelude out. So by then I actually had upgraded to a digital camera, had a nice Nikon. I show up at the dealership, long story short, my dad wasn't with me. I wanted to take pictures of the new Prelude, right? Mm-hmm. So this dealer, I'll never forget it, Thomas Classics, Akron, Ohio, comes up to me and he says, why do you need such a nice camera? And I said, because I sell things. Cocky, arrogant, 16-year-old kid. He goes, well, can you sell that Prowler? And I said, yeah, I can sell the Prowler, the Cadillac, and I started naming off every car that was on his lot, about 5 cars. Yeah. He goes, do it. So that day, man, I took my camera, not even leaving the lot. I whipped up, hey, I'll do it for $100 a car. He writes me a check that day for $500. 7 days later, I put them all on eBay Motors at the time and sold all 5 of them.
There you go.
That was it, man. That weekend, I had 5 to 6 voicemails from franchise stores.
I love it.
Saying, hey, you did this for Chad. Can you come over to my dealership and help me out? Lo and behold, man, 16 years old, I had signed 5 franchise stores within a week and started shooting pictures before Auction 123 even came out.
That's awesome, man.
So that's how I got in the business. And from there, man, it's been 25 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, we got some cool topics we want to jam about today. Our first one around first-party data, which I think is a great topic. And I know I've talked about it a bunch of times, but I will continue to keep talking about it because I still think there's a lot of dealerships out there that don't necessarily understand the difference between first-party and third-party and all the changes that are going on. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what is first-party data?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you guys are hearing a lot of buzz about first-party data, second-party data, third-party data. Well, here's the deal, right? So just to keep things super simple, right? First-party data is your personal identifiable information. It's who we are. It's our index, if you will. It's our digital ID. It's our name. It's our address. It's our phone number. It's our website.
Yep.
It's our email. It's basically our digital footprint, and it's who we are online. The situation is, as you guys have been hearing about the death of the cookie and all that, and we're going to talk about that a little later. But you've got all these companies that have been working with dealers for a long time, talking about how they can build custom audiences. Well, all those audiences were built off of cookies that we'll talk about. Yep. That really are tied to these first-party audiences, but that's starting to go away. So now it's more important than ever for dealers to start to think about that first-party data and where is it, how do I get it, how do I use it, and what do I do with it?
Yeah, I mean, look, for years as vendors, we've been telling dealers that they're sitting on a gold-minded data.
That's right.
But I still think there's a fair amount of them that just don't necessarily understand what that means when we say gold-minded data. I mean, we collect so much information from the customers, where they live, when they were born. We have financial information on them.
Right.
We know what cars they're driving. We know how often they service, and it's how we use that data to better our marketing efforts, right? Back in the day, you threw an ad out in the newspaper and it was a shotgun, spray and pray.
Yes.
And today we kind of have the digital version of that, but by using the data at our fingertips, we don't need to have that digital shotgun.
Right.
We can be super laser with it. Give me some good examples.
Well, listen, I gotta tell you, man, I should give you the award for exactly what we do, but that's exactly right, man. So here's the deal. First off, right, data without intelligence is just numbers, zeros and ones. It's nothing, right? And we're collecting all this data. We've got all these customers coming to our sites. We're collecting leads. Like you said, we've got all this information, but if you're not utilizing that data and you're not weaponizing it, I like to use the word weaponizing. If you're not weaponizing that data in your current digital tactics and strategies, you are missing a huge opportunity. And to your point, so I always like to liken it to a bullseye, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need, that's kind of like, the pitch today, right? Agency walks in your door, Mr. Digital Guy, I'm going to give you an audience for used cars, new cars, and we're going to build this amazing campaign for in-market intenders, and we're going to sell a lot of cars for you.
Yes.
We're going to drive to your website and sell a lot of cars, right? Here's the deal. And then we're going to do a 50-mile radius around your dealership. Okay, I look at that and I say, that's kind of your bullseye, right? That's your dartboard.
Yep.
And the way that their strategy is, let's take 1,000 darts and let's throw it up against the dartboard.
Sure.
And hopefully a couple will come in, they'll get to the BDP,
Yep.
they'll convert, and they'll get some sales and they'll say, hey, we did good for your $3,000 and $5,000. But you're right. You don't need everybody in the backyard. You only need the guy or the gal that lives at 112 Main Street or the person at 236 Smith Avenue that's absolutely based on their behavior and who they are.
So let's talk a little bit about behavior.
Yes.
Because I don't think, let's talk about what type of behavior can we track about? What type of behavior are you talking about?
Well, listen, I mean, when it comes to, so here's the deal. So first party data is what you're collecting on your site.
Yes.
Okay, that's number one. And then there's behavior based on that, based on what they're doing on your site. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can get that in a second. But then there's other companies out there, and most of these agencies, if you will, they take, these audiences and they're based off of online behavior, mm-hmm. right? Did I go to Auto Trader? Did I go to Car Gurus?
Yeah.
Did I go, okay, are we looking at this car? Are we looking at that car? Then they try to say, okay, this is a potentially an end market audience and that's who we should send your ads to, okay? The problem with that, again, is you lose that, as you put it, laser focus.
Yes.
And that's what, look, dealers back in the day, right? And they still do to some degree, love direct mail. And you know why direct mail is so enticing?
It's laser focused.
It went to an address, and if they showed up with that piece of paper, I know it went to 112 Main Street.
100%.
Now there's a digital way to do that.
Yes.
And that's what we need to focus on. If you're gonna take your 5K spend, you don't need everybody in the backyard. You need the 3,186 households in a 15 or 20 mile radius that are actually ready to buy today.
Yes, and it's based on both their offline data, their online data, and it's the combination of those. And it's important that dealers, find a good vendor where they can partner up with that so that they can actually sift through that data.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get freaked out because they're like, well, how are you tracking me? How are you tracking me? Like, it's not Jason Harris, okay?
Right.
It's this little device.
That's
it's got
right.
a little ID.
That's right.
All right, and we can track what this device does from apps that are on your phone.
That's right.
Or email providers that you use.
Yep.
And we can combine that information and start to put out a profile, which I think is a good segue into our next topic around audience targeting, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, I really like what you said about the offline attributes, right? Because the offline behavior and taking that online behavior really creates a persona, right? Yeah. It's a persona. It's who this person is. And look, we, as dealers, right, we live and breathe looking for that persona. A good salesperson on the lot. Now listen, a good salesperson that's on the lot. Jason, you walk up. Look how you're dressed, man. Nice tie, right? You got the,
we sell to the person in front of us.
And within 30 seconds, that guy should be able to surmise, that's a soccer mom. She's probably suburban. She's probably looking for a minivan, right? They can surmise in 30 seconds that persona.
And they present the vehicle to the person.
That's right. And guess what? To your point, that ability to find the right vendor, right, that has those attribution points, right? So there's vendors that could say, hey, listen, we've got 200, 300, 400 different selects. They're called selects of attribution. So we could say, I'm looking for only 18 to 36 year olds. Yep. I'm looking for married. I'm looking for college educated. And hey, listen, it gets as granular as I want them to speak Spanish as a first language, English as a second language. There's so much data out there, divorced, soccer moms, I mean, you name it, all these credit card histories, everything that we do leaves that digital footprint, and that can create a persona, and that can create your custom target backyard person at that house that we can hit.
Yes.
basically audience-based targeting versus just cookie-based and just, third-party tracking.
Let's talk, since we're talking cookies, okay, so let's talk about the death of the cookie.
Yep.
All right, and first, what is third-party data? And then let's talk about how that cookies kind of change, how this particular company decided to go change a lot of that, and how it's going to change over the course of the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so listen, privacy, right? People are getting more and more knowledgeable about their privacy.
Yep.
And they know that people out there are these big eyes in the sky, right? They know, like, to your point, it's not Jason Harris, it's device ID.
Yeah.
But the point is that people are becoming knowledgeable that people are tracking them, right? I mean, it started back in the days when you remember when people were like, oh, I went to that site, now this display banner followed me.
Yep.
Okay? Well, as privacy becomes more and more an issue, forefront of companies like that phone company you talked about, right, is going to start, making it so these people can opt in or out.
Yes.
And when they opt in or out, the problem with that, guys, is that the way the entire industry for the last 20 years that we've been
building marketing strategies,
retargeting, right? All of that has not been built off of a cookieless, basically, environment. And not to get too technical, but basically, that's all built off of third-party tracking tied to an audience that really they don't know who that person is, granular.
Which, I actually don't mind the cookie going away.
I don't either.
Because, as an industry, we kind of used it as a crutch.
Yes.
Of, making better creative and making better messaging. It was like if someone visited my website, looked at one of my products, I can pound them over the head 30, 40, 60 times over the course of 30 days.
Yep.
All right. Buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me.
Yep.
And now that the fact that we can't do that, it means that our original message, our first message and our original content, it's got to be better, which I am so happy with because I kind of like content.
No.
Yeah, I kind of like making that stuff.
You're a content guy, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So. Yeah, I think that's your niche. Well, listen, not to cut you off, but I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, because here's the deal, right? More relevant content. That's what it's about these days, right? Do you want to keep banging somebody over the head? And then consumer experience.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped thinking about that. Everyone, back in the day, we just stopped thinking about it. It didn't matter. It was about us. It was about, let's get our ads out as much as we can. It didn't matter. Who cares? We'll just buy this audience and we'll beat them over the head.
We weren't measuring engagement. We just wanted to pound them over the head as many times as we possibly could.
That's right. And now it's about, no, listen, let's really have an active one-to-one conversation the best we can with the digital experience with that customer and that persona, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it more important from a dealer perspective to say, listen, I've got this, as you put it, gold mine of customers coming to my site that are looking. So they've made that first digital handshake, if you will, with that dealer, right? Yep. Now, if you have some good information behind that customer and you know their data points, you can really craft and create specific custom micro content that's relevant to their experience.
Yes.
So I agree with you. I think the cookie took that away, and now we're moving to a place where we are going to be forced to evolve, where we're going to have these relevant ways of communicating with our customers.
Yes. So give me an example, because I've seen some cool ones. I'm sure you have too.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, here's a perfect example of why it's relevant. So, look at it this way, right? Let's say you are focusing on subprime, or you want to, really get in front of a customer that's poor credit, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you just go out and buy an audience that just says poor credit, you're not exactly sure that you're really talking to the right person. You could be sending somebody who's fully capable of being qualified a poor credit message, and it's completely irrelevant. But look, if you actually could work with somebody that says, hey, I know these people's FICOs are 580 and below, right? And not only is there 580 and below, but this person is actively in market for this car, actively in market for an Altima, actively in market for this. Well, now you could have custom micro audiences for subprime messaging tied to actually that vehicle, saying we are going to do a special deal for poor credit on an Altima. Yeah. And so now it's relevant. They're more likely to engage. And then what happens is, Jason, when they're more likely to engage, guess what? They're more likely to convert when they get to the site.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you right now, so the first step, right? If I take
because you're connecting to the individual, it's not, you're actually, it's funny, you were kind of saying it earlier too, right?
Right.
We do this in the showroom.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've been doing it forever.
That's right.
And then for some odd reason, we decided to start creating some marketing campaigns, and we forget everything we've been taught about connecting to the customer in the showroom. We just throw it out the window.
Yeah, or proper follow-up, right? We throw it out the window, right? So it doesn't apply to us digitally, but it applies to us in the showroom, right?
Yes.
Right, it makes zero sense, because that same person behind the veil of the desktop or the phone or whatever, that's the same customer that's going to walk in your showroom.
Yep.
Right? And so, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, right, the gold mine, I think that's a big thing that we should talk about, because here's the thing is, right now, as it stands, 98, well, what's the average site convert around? 1.75%?
Something like that.
So maybe if they fill out a form, then you're capturing information, right? There's a lot more information that's coming in and out of your site, okay? And there's a way to actually de-anonymize that traffic legally, okay? Where you can make sure that the name, address, phone number that's coming into your site, whether they submit a form or not, okay? So whether they submit a form or not, these people have opted in some way, shape, or form, saying they're willing to share their information.
Yeah.
You can de-anonymize that information, and you can literally now have up to 40% captures of those customers, and you truly are sitting on a gold mine of data. You know what else is interesting? What a lot of dealers don't think about? If you learn how to first collect that data and own it, and then you learn how to weaponize it,
Yes.
it not only is it going to help you from your marketing and advertising perspective, but think about in the future, when inventory comes back, you've got an audience that you can actually retarget to.
100%.
But let's say long term, you're ready to sell your store. And let's say this Honda store is for sale, and that Honda's for sale.
That's a great point.
The valuation of your business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, that's how a lot of other companies are evaluated. They're not just evaluated on the revenue or the revenue streams, but also the data that comes along with that company. In fact, some of the largest acquisitions that have happened recently have literally just been, they're not brick and mortar acquisitions.
That's right.
They're not real estate acquisitions.
That's right.
Data acquisitions.
That's right. And so data almost has like a 20 to 30x multiplier on EBITDA. And so if we're talking to business owners here, dealer owners, you need to think long term here, because at the end of the day, if you go and I'm a buyer and I want to buy a Honda franchise, okay, and this guy says, hey, yeah, I've got my DMS, I've got my CRM, I've got the standard, here plus the inventory, whatever. Yeah. I'll buy it for $12 million or whatever. This guy over here says, oh, well, listen, I've got the same thing, but I've actually over the last 10 years acquired over 15 million first-party records that we own that'll now transfer to you. That valuation is exponential for these guys.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to think. I have several friends that are kind of in the buy and sell game.
Yes.
And I'll have to, after this conversation, say that's a really great point.
Yes.
I'll have to reach out to them and see if anybody's actually talking about that. And
nobody's talking about that.
Because but 100% makes sense.
It does.
I mean, it really does. And it is future-proofing your business.
Not only is it future-proofing your business, and again, I know right now, look, dealers are struggling with inventory, chip shortages, right? Not only is it going to future-proof your business, but if you do it right, it can also spin up new opportunities inside of your business. I'm not going to name some of the groups, but there are owners of groups that I know that are taking their first-party data, and through proper legal, maneuvering, they can take some of that first-party records and they could essentially structure data deals with insurance companies.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm just trying to think right now, like I have a client that owns some high-end dealerships, right?
Right.
So Ferrari, Porsche, Maserati,
Yes.
Alfa Romero.
Yes.
And a buddy of mine who sells airplanes. Okay.
There you go.
Goes, Jay, I'm trying to find more unique ways to try to connect to these people.
That's right.
And I said, well, let me put you in touch with this dealer.
Yep.
All right, because his audience is 100% your audience.
That's right.
And I think they're actually right now, I'll have to call after this and check in with them and see. I think they actually did broker a deal where he was able to purchase.
You got to let me know.
Yeah.
You got to let me, because listen, this is a whole spin-off conversation that takes us way outside of probably the normal realm of buying and selling cars. But look, the revenue streams that can be built with inside your automotive dealership that's applicable.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't Bass Pro Shop, show up to your dealership or you sell trucks.
That's right.
Right? And say, hey, look, I want to connect to that audience because 100%. That audience is my audience.
That's correct.
That outdoorsy,
the
go fishing, the go hiking, go camping audience.
Yes.
I want that data.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And I want to share these ideas out there because right now this could help them weather the current storm.
Yeah.
Those types of additional revenue opportunities could help them weather the current storm. Plus, working with ways to re-anonymize that data and then build, other marketing. If you find the right partner to help you maneuver those types of things, you can re-anonymize it in a way that it's still going to help benefit the airplane guy, benefit the insurance guy, and benefit your bottom line. But then also, when you have that right data and you're capturing it, it also helps you to, let's talk about inventory. Do you mind? I know I said I would.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
All right, inventory, right? Right now, that's a big pain point. Everybody wants to buy inventory, right? They need cars. Well, if you capture the data, there's ways that you can get with the right partner to find a way to figure out what's in the garage.
Yep.
So we know now that this guy's sitting on a BMW i8 from 2018. He's probably coming up close to a lease renewal, whatever the case is. Well, now if you know what's in his garage and you know that persona about that customer, now you have a better, even more one-to-one relevant experience, because now you can position Albert's BMW wants to buy your BMW i8.
Yes.
And now I'm seeing that saying, whoa, this guy knows I got a BMW i8. It's super relevant.
It is. Well, it is. And look, the intention behind marketing is to connect with the consumer.
Yep.
Right? It's, it goes beyond lead generation.
Right.
I mean, as an industry, that's all we've pretty much been talking about for the last 10 years. Is lead generation. And the funny thing is, as an industry, we'll always find a good way to generate leads, and then we'll find even better ways to screw it up.
There you go. That's right.
Hence digital retailing.
There you go. That's right. Oh, exactly, man. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. We'll talk about that offline. That's so funny. You're exactly right.
It's more of a process. It's not a lead gen tool.
That's exactly
I don't know why we keep talking about it like a lead gen tool, but
correct.
But anyways, I mean, that's the intention, is that we take good ideas and then we have a tendency of kind of messing them up.
That's right.
But no, we need to connect directly to the customer. Right. We can do that, and then it comes all back to that messaging. It's all that personalization.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and at the end of this, right? A lot of dealers are gonna be like, well, all this sounds great, Jason Albert. That sounds wonderful. What do I do? I mean, how do I even begin down this rabbit hole? Listen, if I put my consultant hat on, you got to start there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. A dealer in the next 3 to 6, 12 months. If you have a dealership, you have a franchise store, you need to figure out a way to start acquiring figuring out at least how to collect your data in a sensible, smart way.
Yes.
Okay, that's number one. I consider it like the basement of your house. Yeah. It's the foundation. It's step one. Step one is figuring out a solution of how can I collect this data, organize it, and just have the data. And then if you can figure out that, and then you can figure out what's coming into your site. Just start with your website. Yeah. You don't have to worry about going out and finding third-party partners to buy more data. Just start with your website, okay? Because that's enough right there to start with. Once you start there and you can figure out exactly who you have and what's going on with your business, from that point forward, then you can figure out strategies on how to weaponize it.
Yes.
Just start there. That's step one. Just figure out how you can actually harness your own data and own it.
100%.
And own it.
Well, and that's the key. I think own it, right?
Yes.
I think if you're watching or listening to this right now, you're beginning to understand a little bit of the value of the data that you're sitting on. Like I said, we won't be surprised if companies will approach you at some point and want to actually purchase it.
That's right.
But we do need to understand how to collect it, what to do with it, and it just, it just takes a little bit of time. You just got to commit a little bit to yourself, to just a little bit of knowledge, right? It's like Google Analytics.
Yes.
Right? There are like 2,000 reports in Google Analytics. But do you need to know all 2,000? No.
No.
Do you need to know and understand the top 10? 100%.
That's right.
And what is that going to take you? A day?
Right.
Maybe a few hours?
That's it.
That's
it. And at this point, like we said, with the cookieless, everything's going cookieless. Everything's going to become kind of a unified audience, right? So it's all going to be about these opted-in consumers, and it's all going to be about, that first party. That's going to become, it's the real estate of the future.
Yes. So I'm curious how you think, like, websites, because look, I've never been super impressed with automotive websites.
Oh my God,
I'm really not, right?
Yes, I just had a meeting 30 seconds ago about that.
And I literally think like the intent behind most automotive websites is simply just to get you there.
That's right.
So then we could stick a cookie on you, and then continue to track you.
That's right. That's right.
But there has been a great shift, I think, in our industry over the last 18 to 20 months. But I'd love to get your thoughts on where you think that's heading.
Oh, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. First off, you're dead right. And again, I'm not, nothing negative about it, but automotive websites can always do better. At this point right now, the who behind the click, I think, is what we're missing, right? 98% of your traffic comes in, you got a 1.75% capture rate or so, that's it. They're gone, and that's all you really know about what's engaging on your website, right? I think that the future right now is finding ways to really actually think about the website more as a way to really, power that, right? Become the ignition source. Let's call it the engine of your data, right? Let's call it the ignition of your data, because it's not just about the person that submits the lead. It's about the person that came in, explored, left, came back, explored again, did some more things, left. These are people that you need to know and you need to introduce yourself to digitally, and you need to figure out solutions and ways to do that. So I think that the future, first off, is finding a way to use that site to become that ignition to fuel your customer data platform.
Yes. So give me an example of what you think that would look like.
It's simple.
Because I dig it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's simple. I mean, it's not simple to build, but there are partners out there that you can talk to.
Right.
I mean, listen, no plug. We do that, right? That's what we do. That's one of our specialties. We have a first-party data conversion technology tool, right? So it's as simple as putting some specific coding on your site through a GTM or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's it. That ignition starts firing off. It bounces up against 37 million data points. It comes back because again, there's things that you have to be cognizant of. CAM spam compliance.
Yeah.
You have to be cognizant of GDPR, CCPA, right? All of these different types of legalities. So even if you could capture 100% on your website, be wary of the cheapo solution that gives you anything and everything, because you have to bounce these up against do not call registries and all that. You need clean data.
Yes.
You need clean data that's actually market ready, shall be compliant.
See, I gotta be honest with you. I'm a little jealous because here in the States, you guys get to do that.
Yes.
And in Canada, we are just.
That's right.
It is so difficult. So,
yes.
like, I love having conversations,
yes.
with you guys about this, and but a little tear comes down my eye
man.
when I realize I can't do that in Canada. But hey, that's another topic.
That's right.
For another time. Albert, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yes, it has.
We've covered some really cool topics for everybody out there that's watching and listening, who may want to learn a little bit more about what you do,
yes.
or maybe even continue the conversation that we've started today. What's the best way to connect with you?
Well, listen, I mean, obviously, your channels like we've connected. LinkedIn, Yep. You can connect through me with LinkedIn, driveniq.com. That's our website. But overall, guys, listen, we've got multiple sales folks out there nationwide that can talk to you. But just at the end of the day, all the biggest takeaway that I want to have happen, man, is for people to become what and listen, mark my words, I'm branding this. Hashtag become data independent.
Data independent. I dig that.
Data independence. It's right here. It's landmark.
Can you make a t-shirt for me?
Yeah. We're hashtag data independence. I literally put it on my card.
I love it, man.
Yeah, I'm going to brand that. I'm taking it home. So just find a way, guys, to not be reliant on your agencies or other data sources. Just own it and become independent.
Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much, dude.
Brother,
this has been really, really, really fun.
What a blessing, man. Thank you.
Thank you.